Hey, everybody. Welcome back to Women of Color in Intimate Conversation. This week's guest is Marquette L. Walker. She is a talented speaker and advocate for personal growth and resilience. Marquette, tell us more about you.
Yeah, absolutely. First and foremost, Deneen, I would like to say thank you and I honor you for allowing me to be a part of this amazing platform. So, who is Marquette L. Walker? Well, God has entrusted me with many of hats. I am a mother, I'm a wife, I am a Gigi. I don't want to say grandma yet, but I'm a Gigi. I'm also a inspirational coach, a motivational speaker. I'm a minister. I am an author. Let's see, what else am I? A lover of people.
Okay. You are all the beautiful things, everything that God put in you, right? You're walking in your
Ab-
purpose.
Absolutely,
Love
absolutely.
it. Love it, love it, love it. Okay, so you did mention why. Actually, before we go there, so today's the name of this conversation, this episode is Empowering Others, Finding Strength in Serving and Making a Difference, which is what Marquette and I are going to talk about. So, Marquette, you did mention that you're a wife, but I also noticed that you went through a divorce and you say divorce but not defeated. So, let's talk about that. Let's start there.
Absolutely. So let me tell you, so my story is not heard of, but you do read about her in the Bible. I am currently married, but I've been married four times prior.
Okay.
And I tell people, I said, if you heard of the woman at the well, I used to ask God, who do I align with in the Bible? And
Mm.
he dropped in my spirit, the woman at the well. The woman at the well was married five times. And I was like, wow. And not even realizing that. But anyway, yes, I've been married five times. I'm currently married to my one and forever, my fifth and forever, I should say. Yes, uh, and when I say divorced but not defeated, because I've been married so many times and divorced so many times, but I still was not defeated. God still met me at the well and allowed me to be married for the fifth time.
And so what I love about that is that you did not you didn't give up on love. You kept at it, right? Until you got to that fifth time, that cinco,
Yes,
right?
yes,
Tiempo. Uh,
right.
and this is your fifth and final. That's what we'll call this, fifth and final.
Absolutely, absolutely, absolutely.
All right, all right. So let me ask this. What would you have told yourself prior to marriage number one? What have you learned with all the marriages, and especially the one that you're in currently? What would you have told yourself before marriage number one? Did-
So first I would have told myself is to learn what marriage is. So
Mm,
I was born and raised in the church. So all I saw coming up is all these happy marriages in church. Everybody was so loving. They were kissing, holding hands, they were just loving. And I said,
yeah.
one day that's going to be me. But I fell in love with the idea of
Mm,
marriage, what I saw or what it looks like. So I will tell myself now or tell anyone that's going through what I've been through is to wait and get to know yourself first and foremost. Deal with any issues that are in your past that's causing you to think the way you think or move the way you move. And then I would say just be patient and first grow yourself, know who you are and whose you are.
mm-hmm. Right, that part. And you know what? Knowing yourself is key to everything, right? Whether
Mm-hmm.
we're talking about relationships, whether we're talking about careers, entrepreneurship, etc. Knowing yourself. And I don't think we spend enough time on getting to know ourselves. We just go through the motions, right? We just
Mm-hmm.
move, and don't
Absolutely.
necessarily get to know ourselves. So we'll talk a little bit more about that. But I want to kind of hang out in this area a little bit longer because, you said what you saw, so your experience with marriage was seeing happy marriages, which is great. My experience was that I saw my grandparents, right? They were married, they were happily married, but that
Uh-huh.
was about it, right? I didn't really have any other examples to look to. My father died
Uh-huh.
when I was 12.
Okay.
So, before he died, of course, well, my parents had a good relationship. However, after that, the only model that I had were my grandparents. And for me,
Mm-hmm.
that was just like, okay, that's a given. Your grandparents are supposed
Mm-hmm.
to be like that, right?
Right,
I
right.
really didn't see anything else. I didn't have any other examples. So for me, marriages is not something that I really even thought about. And even to this
Uh-huh.
day, is not like something that, oh, I aspire to be married. So
Right.
with the 4 men previously, right? And I think this is important. Those men, I don't know, whether they're remarried, etc. But was it a timing issue? Like today, if those men were single, if they are single, they are good for somebody. They just weren't good for you at that time. Would you?
Yes. So I tell women that it's not that they're bad men, we just get them in a wrong season.
Mm,
Everyone has to go through a journey, and that does not make you bad because you made bad decisions right then. That just means you just made some bad decisions, you didn't think about it or whatever. But a lot of times we get men and we just get them in the wrong season. And if
yeah.
they have not grown yet, they have not matured yet, don't even understand what it means to be a husband. But I don't want to even leave it there. I
Hmm.
want to talk about where I played a part in.
Right,
For
right,
me,
right.
for me, I had to start peeling back the layers after number three. By the time I got to number three, like, oh, hold on, something is wrong. And I remember my dad telling me, marriages have their ups and downs, they have their ins and outs. Um, I'll give you the first and I'll even give you the second, but the third one, there's got to be something wrong with you, right?
Mm,
And let me tell you, that was made the light bulb go off. But the example that I had was church, not even my mom and my dad, because the childhood trauma followed me
mhm.
all throughout my marriage. So I tell people I was just bleeding on people. But let me just step back to that childhood trauma that I carried is that my dad and my mom got a divorce. They were married for 18 years. So I was 11 years old. And one thing for sure, children do not ever want to see their parents get a divorce. They don't care how ugly it gets. Y'all better stay together.
Mm,
They want their parents to be together. And just sometimes it just does not work out that way. And so I carry resentment, rejection, abandonment, the stuff that my mom felt. I internalized that and I carried that on and I never healed from that. So I'm entering in these marriages broken.
yeah.
So what happens? Broken people attract broken people. Hurt people attract hurt people. So even though I might have attracted them in their wrong season, I was even in my wrong season. I was
Right,
hurt and
right.
jacked up, right? And so I wasn't even healed. So that's why it took so many marriages before. And God was trying to show me by the time I got to three, but I still didn't understand what to do with the downloads that he was giving me. My childhood was chasing me, but I was steady running away. When it tries to get us to a point of healing, but
Mhm.
we won't. We are like, oh no, I'm good, and you just keep moving.
Yeah.
And yeah, so that's what happened with that. I just got them in the wrong season.
And what's key of what you said, so those who are watching or listening, what's key is two things. One, they were in wrong seasons. She was also in wrong season, right? So you do
Absolutely.
have to look at both. And she eventually recognized she was in the wrong season after
Absolutely.
getting in tune with herself, which again is so key. We all need to
Mhm.
take that time to get in tune with ourselves, which we'll come back to when we talk about the power and a pause, because that's kind of what we talk about, pause and take time for self. So the
Absolutely.
experiences that you had, um, okay, so why marriage and not just boyfriend, girlfriend? Is it because of the influence of the church or what?
Yes, so I was born and raised in the church. I mean, when I probably came out right in the church. That's how close I was. So yeah, so that's all I knew. That's all
Mhm.
I knew was church, 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 church. It was Sunday school, Sunday worship,
Mm.
Sunday evening, Tuesday, Thursday, Friday, even revival, convention, all that. I knew all that, and that's all I see, and that's all that we understood. And the bad thing about it is the church didn't even come to my rescue at that time and said,
Okay.
wow, she's on number three. Let's help her.
All right, right.
But that didn't take place. So that back then, the church, I felt that's what we were failed by the church. And
Mhm.
so even the church, you have to deal with it in corporate, you have to deal with it. But
Mhm.
mainly mine was from church because what I was taught and what I was raised on.
Yeah, and so what we are talking about is resilience, which is where we're going to jump into it, and inner strength, which is where we're going to go in a moment. But I do want to ask this question because again, there's somebody else listening, watching,
Right.
who's having
Mhm.
this experience, right?
Yeah.
Or who had the experience and still trying to figure out, how do they kind of work themselves out of it. Do
Right.
you wish that the church had stepped in? Like if you look at how you are today, like everything you've gone through today, do you wish
Mhm.
they had stepped in, or is it more so like, you know what? I understand that I went through what I went through because I needed to.
Mhm. So some part of me say I wish they would have stepped in, but let me tell you, I'm a firm believer of God does not put more on you than you can bear. I know a lot of times we get ourselves into things, but that's where the grace comes in at. But
Mm.
I believe now, looking back over my life, that I was supposed to go through this,
Yeah.
and able to help other women and also men. It's not
Mhm.
even just women, but it's men and women that's going through the same thing.
Absolutely, absolutely. So I just wanted to bring that out. So getting into empowering women of color, empowering Black women, you said you even, want men to be empowered and learn from your experiences as well. So let's get into
Mhm.
talking about how you inspire others to find their own resilience and inner strength.
Absolutely. So I started a winning women's course. It's helping women because us women, we can hold on to some stuff.
Girl,
Boy, we'll go years and years holding on to stuff, and the other person will move on with their life.
don't even know what you're talking about.
Right. And look, and we're stagnant. They moved on, are married, they got 5 kids, and we still stuck where we were because we're holding on to the bitterness and the resentment and all of that. So I'm trying to help women heal completely because in order for us to win, we have to heal. So that's what my course talks about. It talks about forgiveness. It talks about self-care because we ultimately lose ourselves. We become
Mhm.
another representation when you get married. So now you got to find yourself again, right? Self-care, time management, journaling, meditation. We go over all of these different topics in my Winning Women course just to help these women. I want our women to win. And so we have to heal in order to do that.
Yes. And so the things that you just mentioned are the things, that for me, make me think about the power in the pause. So the
Mhm.
power in a pause, like last year's, I came up with that and really to
Mhm.
start talking about it. And I
Mhm.
did my own pause by taking a 2 month break from social media. And now,
Mhm.
mind you, social media is great. It has its
It
purpose, but
is. It
sometimes
does.
we're just caught up in it, right? Spending a lot
Mhm.
of time in it, focused on it or focused on even like, oh, let me create, the content, right? So, because that's a job within itself. And
Absolutely.
so, we're not necessarily pausing, we're not necessarily actually living, experiencing life off the internet.
Right.
So that's why I took a pause and I'm actually back into my pause season as well. So I'm
Uh-huh.
paused right now from LinkedIn.
Mhm.
Probably the end of July, August, I'm going to pause from social media
Okay.
so that I can just really be present and really get into the books and learn and everything about my new business. So in
Mhm.
addition to the things that you mentioned,
Uh-huh.
what is the power in the pause?
Let me tell you, it is so much power in the pause. And the biggest power is when you take a pause, now you learn who you are.
Yes.
You know who you are, you know whose you are. And not only that, the most important thing is that whose you are love you in spite of everything that you've been through. So that's where the power and the pause come in at. And I'm so glad you brought that up because I had to take 6 years of pause
Mm,
between 3 and 4. I said, okay, that once my dad said that, even though I was mad at him, let me tell you, that
right.
the scripture came back to me and honor thy father and thy mother, that your days may be long on the earth. Let me tell you, I called my dad and I let my dad have it. Oh my goodness. But you know what? That scripture came up and I was like, oh, I see my days counting down. Let me hurry up and call him back. Now I'm not saying I called him back a week or two or a month. It was close to 3 months before I called back to apologize, but that was the starting of me on my healing journey. Is I had to forgive my dad from what he took my mom through. And
Mhm.
I had to understand that's between him and God. That is not between me and him and I. That means that him and myself, I still have to respect him as my dad no matter what. And I have to love him no matter what. But I had to learn that in my pause, starting my pause phase. And so it's a lot of power in pause. You'll start to in that pause phase, you'll start to look back on everything that's happening. You're like, oh shoot, you'll start to realize things like, oh, I'm really mad at my dad right now. Oh, I
Mm.
don't like him or I don't like her because she dating my ex, or I need to do this. And you got all this stuff going on, right? So it's very important. And when I say pause, I mean I pause. I mean, I had the man coming for me, but I said, they said, well, can I have your number? No. You can't have my number. Well, can I take you out? Nope, you cannot take me out. Well, can I be your friend? No, I have a friend in Jesus, and that's all that I need,
All right,
right?
right.
That's all I need. I don't need nothing else. And so I wanted to be very intentional on my pause.
Mm-hmm.
And let me tell you, it was me and God. I tell people, me and God dated. They was like, what does that look like? What it
Yeah.
looks like is you are away from everything, and it's you in quiet time. You're meditating, you're journaling, you're praying, you're fasting, and then in all this time, God is showing you who you are, the things that He need to pull up out of you, the things He need to clean up out of you. Because I was still carrying that resentment, hurt,
Mm-hmm.
unforgiveness, all that stuff. So I definitely took a pause. And then after the fourth one, I had to take another pause because I wasn't all the way. I thought I was there yet, but I still wasn't there yet. So I had
Right.
to take a 2 year pause, and I shut down all social media. I didn't talk to anyone, and I went back to repeat the cycle again. And I'm going to tell you, now I'm at number 5, and it is working very well for me.
Very good. Congratulations on that, on the
Thank
pauses
you.
and really taking the time, doing the
Yeah.
work, right? As what is Ayana Vazant says, work.
Yeah.
Do you know the book? Are you familiar with it's a girl, it's an old book, but
Uh-huh.
I think it's like Knight in Shining Armor is by Bunny.
I think.
Because it's based in,
Uh-huh.
your relationship with God, and it's about different things to do to take that
Yeah.
time, date yourself, uh,
Right.
all those different things. But when you were talking about what you did in your pause, it just made me think of that book.
Uh-huh.
And I think it could be a good reference. So for anyone who is, wanting to take that pause and really get to know themselves, as it relates to themselves, a relationship with self, and then also a relationship with others, that's a good
Right.
book to probably, consider. But so, yeah, just throwing that
Absolutely.
out there. But that's what I thought about while you were talking. Okay, so
Okay.
through these marriages,
Uh-huh.
um, I also talk about dreams deferred, and that's how I honor my sister, late poet and author Soul True. She wrote a book called Dreams
Uh-huh.
Deferred. So, I'll throw that into the conversation. So at any point, did you have a dream that you put on hold?
I did. Let me tell you. Well, first, writing a book. That was a dream of mine to write a book. And it took me all these years, and I just launched it this year, Divorced but Not Defeated. But now that goes back to you saying, do you think the church should have helped you, or do you think it was meant for you to go through
Mm-hmm.
what you've been through? Well, that's why I said I believe it was meant for me to go through it, because now my story is on paper to help someone else. Yeah.
No, you know what? That's right. And so I actually had a conversation with someone else a few weeks ago, Dima Gawi,
Uh-huh.
and she wrote a book as well. I just finished her book. It's about I think it's broken or breaking vases or something like that.
Uh-huh.
It was a great book, and so it wasn't so much that it was her background. So
Mm-hmm.
her background, her
Uh-huh.
culture
Uh-huh.
impacted her relationships, right? And how she grew up, and
Mm-hmm.
it was very restrictive. She grew up in a very patriarchal culture,
Uh-huh.
and how she kind of survived that is in her
Right.
book.
Uh-huh.
So yes, writing that book, getting your story out to other people, that is
Yeah.
part of how you're inspiring us. That is how, we can find resilience and inner strength through books,
Uh-huh.
like by Dima and other people. So
Absolutely.
greatly appreciate that. And yes, congratulations on you writing your book.
Thank you. Thank you
You're
so
welcome.
much.
You're welcome. So I encourage, empower women of color to live a dream lifestyle, and each woman
Mhm,
defines it differently for themselves. How do
mhm.
you define a dream lifestyle, and how are you living a dream lifestyle?
So how I envision a dream lifestyle is helping other women. It's helping people,
Yeah.
period. But it seems like my story is gearing towards women. So that's perfectly okay with me. My dream lifestyle is helping people. And right now, I am living that dream lifestyle, being able to put a book out there for readers to read and to inspire and encourage and uplift them. And also having a coaching course that also inspires, encourage, and uplift women, but we're gonna try to add men. I just got to change the title one day because I'm gonna bring my husband into it so they can see it from both of our
Okay.
perspectives eventually. So we'll have two things going on. But yes, that is my dream lifestyle. My dream lifestyle is being able to help someone heal.
Love that. Love that. So Marquette, before we wrap, what would you like to leave the audience with?
What I would like to leave the audience with is first and foremost is get to know before you're going into these relationships, get to know who you are, get to know whose you are, and deal with any past traumas, whether that's childhood trauma, whether that's shame, that's guilt, or resentment, abandonment, whatever it may be. I tell people I had a backpack, this visible backpack, and I packed all these things in there. And so I was getting weighed down with all this stuff. So please don't pack your backpack, or if you have it already packed, unload your backpack by spending time with God so you will know who you are and whose you are. And then it ultimately healing completely so you can win.
Love it. I absolutely love it. Marquette L. Walker, thank you so much for lending your voice on women of color in intimate conversation, and enjoy the rest of your day.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for having me, Denise. You have a blessed day.
You're welcome, and thank you.